Yeah? Yes. Okay.
Once again, good evening, ma'am. Before we begin the session, I'd like to give a short introduction to our audience here. Cancer Conqueror Neerja Malik has been stretching her helping hands to cancer patients and their family members for the past 22 years. Her efforts and dedication has moved the hearts of many, strengthened their will and determination to win this battle. She is the author of a book titled I Inspire. Let us welcome the TEDx speaker and our inspiration today, Neerja Malik, to our session today as she motivates us with the stories and warm words of her journey. Welcome, ma'am.
Good evening to you. How are all of you? It's really strange watching myself so small, because I am a large person. And I'm trying to figure out how I can see you better. Can you see me? Is this all right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
All right. I'm really sorry about this, but in Hindi, we have a phrase that goes, Intezar ka phal meetha hota hai, which means that when you wait for something, then the fruit of that patience is very, very sweet. So I'm hoping that you people will find this very, very sweet. Okay, because I wasn't expecting it to happen here. I didn't charge my cell phone. Yes, it's working. Yeah, मुझे यहाँ एक तो किताब है वो बड़ा चीज मोटा सा delay. Yes, darlings, I'm sorry about this delay. So we can start off whenever you're ready.
Yes, ma'am, we can proceed.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Right. So first and foremost, there are a few things that I'd like to tell you about myself. And the first thing is that I consider that we are all one. And because I consider that we are all one, the next thing to say is that the divinity in me bows down to the divinity in all of you. And I'm sending you so much of love. And I know that though it is long awaited, and this is the trouble with you, new gen, and with me, old gen. Now, my daughter's on her way to Kodaikanal, or I would have got her to fix it for me. But neither my husband or I, and both are above 65, know how to do this because she would have taken 1 second. So now to cut all that. My darlings, I want to tell you that there are two ways to tackle anything. And that is that when you get upset or when things are not going your way, you can either get very agitated, pull your hair out, and curse the whole world. Or you can say, all right, whatever happens, happens for the best. Maybe there is some good in this. And maybe what will happen is that I can get later on a direct one-on-one session with you so that I learn all the intricacies of Google Meet, right? So I'm going to start by saying that life gives you lemons. I'm sure you've had it, and it's up to you what to do with it. And I have been very lucky in all my life to have a wonderfully nurturing, securely loving family. And I think that is what gave me so much of confidence, so much of joy, so much of peace. Therefore, whatever happened to me, 1 second, darlings. Mandeep, I'm in a talk. I just speak softly, please. Husbands, you have to deal with them also. We've been married for 43 years. Okay. So there have been a lot of problems in my life. I will not call them problems. Now see, what I want you to pick up from me is that everything can be looked at in two ways. मैं इधर जाऊं या उधर जाऊं? Should I look at it like this or should I look at it like this? Do you understand the difference? And the choice is up to who? The choice is up to me. It is entirely up to me as to whether I want to be positive or whether I want to be negative. Now, let me tell you, in life, it is very easy, very easy to look at the negative thing because you don't have to put in any effort. It's negative. You can complain, you can whine, you can do this, you can be like Meena Kumari, right? But the fact of the matter is, does it get you anywhere? Now, what have I gone through? I was a tomboy, still am. I went through broken bones. After marriage, I went through many innumerable miscarriages, what are called premature miscarriages. Then I went through a stillborn. A stillborn, in the 8th month, the baby died within me. Then I went through giving birth to twins. But these twins, who were supposed to be born on the 9th of September, gave me such high blood pressure, 270 by 140. So I was rushed to a nursing home on the 4th of June, and within a month, on the 5th of July, I went into labor. And my poor mother, who was in the hospital with me, I woke her up at about 6 in the morning, I think, and I said, Ma, I've gone into labor. And she said, what? How many minutes? So I'm standing over her head, looking at my watch and saying, 3 minutes. And she was so shocked while trying to get up. The shock made her fall back on her bed. Then she got up and she ran to the nursing quarters. The nurses came in. They quickly prepared me. They put me into an ambulance from the nursing home where I'd been for a month, rushed me to Breach Candy Hospital. They cut me up. They gave me an epidural because if you have such a high blood pressure, they cannot give you general anesthesia. Now, if they give you general anesthesia, you can very well go into a coma, and that wouldn't have served the purpose at all. So that was out of question. So they managed to cut me up, or what is called a cesarean, and they looked around and they yanked out one twin and then they yanked out the other. And there were 2 incubators because that particular hospital didn't have a neonatal clinic. So each twin, and they looked like scrawny little monkeys with lots of hair on their bodies. And she looked like an old woman, wizened, and he looked like an old man, and yet you could tell the sex of the children because she was all girlish and he was all guyish. Okay, macho man, even with a few kgs. So they were put into individual incubators. One of the incubators stopped working. So you can imagine how tiny they were. Each would fit into a shoebox. And they were put into one incubator, and the incubator was taken off to another hospital, Jasloke, where I followed later. So I've had an exciting time. But after that, they grew up well, though they were supposed to be born on the 9th of September. They were born on the 5th of July. And guess what? A few years later, I had to get my uterus and ovaries removed. A few years later, that was Friday the 13th of February 1998. I was diagnosed with left breast cancer. And then I was diagnosed again with right breast cancer in November of 2004, the year of the tsunami. So all these things happened. And in fact, in 2018, I had something called septicemia 3 times, where the bacteria gets into your blood and one by one, your organs start packing. So I needed 210 injections in the jugular. And now some of you might say, Ma'am, you've gone through all this. How come you're talking so happily? Or doesn't it shatter you? Doesn't it tear you apart? Doesn't it wrench you? How can you be so cheerful? And I just say one thing. I had a lot of support from my parents. And I have intense faith and belief in God. And because of those intense faith and belief, it's very simple. Now, children, just listen to what I have to say very carefully, because this is what helped me through all the tough times of my life. And what is that? That I surrendered all my troubles, all my problems at the feet of the Lord. In fact, I was talking to some kids and I told them, I said, I have a deal with God. And the kids said, what? And I said, I've told him, I said, listen, buddy, you've given me these problems. Now it's your problem to give me the solutions. I'm free. And you know what this doctor said? The children were very impressed. Collars up. The doctor tells me she's taken the easy way out. I said, excuse me, what do you mean by that? And he said, it's very simple. Because what you've done is you have removed the problems from yourself. And I realized that I hadn't been thinking of what I'd been doing. But the doctor, who I felt bad was, not giving me the credit, was absolutely right. He made me understand and embrace what I had been doing without intellectually thinking about it. So you understand, I happily give God the credit for whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm going through. And then I just as happily give him the discredit for all my problems with the surety that he is going to take care of them. So do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? That it is in our hands how we look at it. It is in our minds how we perceive it. So if we perceive it as a problem, it will become a problem. And if we perceive it as something that we just have to overcome, we can overcome it. Don't people say you become what you think? So if I think that I have no problem because I've given the problems to someone who's bigger than I am, someone who can handle things, so I don't have a problem because all my problems I have surrendered. And you surrender the problems or the joys to those people you trust. Like I trust my parents, like I trust my sister, like I trust my in-laws, my husband, my children, my friends, my maids. We are a family. And I want you to realize one thing, that because I grew up along with my sister, we grew up as children of a serving naval officer. And therefore, we got transferred from place to place. Now, my father is an Arya Samaji. Do you know something? His Nana or his mother's father is Mahatma Hansraj, who started all the DAV schools and colleges in Lahore before partition, donkeys years back. So I'm an Arya Samaji. My mother comes from a Sikh family, so I'm a bit of a Sikh. Now, when we were transferred, sometimes we were in a place for just 6 months. So when I was young, the government and the convents had a deal that whether we are transferred in the middle of the year, quarter of the year, end of the year, the convents had to take us in. So we grew up studying in convents. And we had all kinds of friends: Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, Parsis, Jews. So I grew up feeling that they are all mine. Do you understand, my children? I grew up feeling that nothing is separate from me, that we are all one. And it is a beautiful feeling because half our troubles are there because we are perpetually differentiating मैं, तू, me, na. Here, there is no question of I or you because I am very secure in the fact that we are all one. Now, you know, there are 4 kingdoms. One is the human kingdom, and one is the animal kingdom, one is the vegetable kingdom. Yes? Does anyone want to say something to me? Okay. And one is the mineral kingdom. So, what does our world consist of? These 4 kingdoms. And if we had lived within these 4 kingdoms with complete love, affection, compassion. See, I'm using these words not only for the love of the human race, I'm wanting us to extend that beyond the humans to the animals, the fish, the birds, the horses, to the vegetation, the trees, the rivers, the seas, and also to the minerals, the earth. So, if there is love and there is compassion and there is a feeling for all these things, then it is very easy to feel the vibrations of love, to feel the vibrations of healing, to feel the vibrations of joy, and to feel that I'm well. Now, when you start off with all these kind of feelings, there is one thing that is uppermost. And that is that you learn to live one day at a time. So what do I say? Tackle one day at a time. Now, if you are tackling one day at a time, then there's no need to worry. You just have to get to the end of the day. Tomorrow is another day. So you imagine the strength and the power that certain thoughts give us. And these are some of the treasures, some of the thoughts that I want to share with you today. So I had a lovely life, a very warm, cozy, adventurous life. Every time we got transferred, the luggage would go by train. And how would my father, mother, sister, and I, with 2 dogs in tow, travel? We would go by car. So we have traveled all over India, stopped under a tree. My mother and father used to both drive. My sister and I and the dogs would sleep. We would be woken up at 4, put into the car, and taken off as an adventure. So I feel that nowadays we're missing out on all these things. We never had cell phones. We never had uh, games on the cell phone, the music. We were so free. We had nature to play with. We would make games out of stones. We would climb up trees. We would run on the walls. would cycle. Okay, agreed. It gave me an open invitation to break many bones. But the fact of the matter is that I grew up feeling fun. So, yes, this is the book that I have written. It is called I Inspire. And you would say, what is it about? So, very simply, I'm going to tell you that it is about 10 treasures that I've found in life. The first treasure is love. And let me tell you, when people say very grandly, love conquers everything, I promise you, those words are heavily laden with truth because love can conquer anything. So, the first treasure, love. Second treasure, fun and laughter. And you know what? Fun and laughter, especially if you can laugh at yourself. Now, you'll be shocked if I tell you that when I was going through very strong chemotherapy, I vomited big, huge, fat worms. And what did I do? My husband was with me in Bombay when I puked one of them, and he picked it up and he put it into a mug. And I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm going to keep it and show it to the doctor," because he'd never seen such a horrendously huge thing come out of a human being. It was something like the aliens. And you know what happened? After a few days, I vomited another one in another bathroom. Now, instead of getting hassled, how did I look at it? I looked at it in this way, that the chemotherapy had really shaken me up. So it shook up everything in my body, including the worms that were residing there. And they decided it was better to be out of my body than in it. And how did my mind work? One worm in one bathroom, the other worm in the other bathroom. And what is my mind saying? I'm thinking of Mr. and Mrs. Worm meeting in the many pipes of the sewage and setting up a cozy little home for themselves. Now you see the shift in perception. And you can be shattered. Oh my God, or you can say, hey, let me see if there's another way of looking at it. And I laughed. I promise you, I had such a hearty laugh. When my hair started falling after 21 days, first of all, I pulled my hair every time after the chemotherapy, the first chemotherapy. And finally, I came to a decision. But the doctor said the hair will fall. My hair is not falling. What do the doctors know? Have they gone through chemotherapy? No. I've gone through chemotherapy. I should know. And my hair is not falling. And guess what? On the 21st day, when I was bathing to get ready to go to Bombay and have my chemotherapy there, I soaped my neck and hair came out. And hair came out. And then you know what I did? Right here in this house in Chennai, I went to the balcony, I pulled my hair, and those white flowers, I don't know the name, but I know when you're young, you say, he loves me not, he loves me. Okay, I didn't say anything like that, but I pulled my hair, stood in the balcony, and watched it in the breeze. Pulled some more, and watched it in the breeze. And I promise you, my dear children, I felt as if the troubles were leaving me. I haven't done anything extraordinary. All I've done is shifted my perception. So when I talk to patients, some of them are so upset, so angry, so traumatized, so shattered. They don't want to do anything, but they just want to be left alone. They just want to curl up and they want to die. They are so shattered with their diagnosis. And then you know what I tell them? I said, if you talk to me, it's not as if the cancer will go away. I can't take the cancer away from you. But you know what I can do? I can change your perception to the word cancer. And I can make you cope with it. I can make you look at things differently. So you realize that all is not lost. You realize that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Now, I tell people, see, if a psychologist or if anyone goes to a cancer patient and says, come on, be positive, the patient will turn around and say, do you know what I'm going through? Do you know what my family is going through? And I say, yes, I've been through cancer twice. I've been through 12 chemotherapies. I've been through 80 or so radiations. I've been through so many rather major surgeries. I know. And you know something? You know what the ace up my sleeve is? That, hey, if I can do it, so can you. So can you. And that is how an instant rapport is formed between my patients and I. I never bother about what is their background, what they're doing, how they've come, nothing. Because we have one common thing. And I won't even call it a common enemy. Because if you think of something as an enemy, there are a lot of negative feelings involved. So when I was diagnosed, I ran to my father and I said, Papa, I'm going to fight cancer. And do you know what this naval officer told me? Indian naval officer, captain of a ship, mentioned in dispatches in the 1971 war. He turned to me and he said, Beta, why are you using the word fight? Fight is aggressive. Why don't you use the word face? You see the difference? I'm going to fight cancer. It's negative. I'm going to face cancer. It's positive. Because when you think about facing it, what are you doing? Hum honge kamyab. We will overcome. So you see this shift. I'm going to fight cancer. I'm going to face cancer. So this is what I teach my patients. And I tell them, what is the ace up my sleeve? If I can do it, so can you. I've worn those moccasins. I know what you're going through. I know what your family is going through. And yes, sweetie, if I can do it, so there's instant rapport. And then they are like putty in my hands. It's magical. Because from this, they listen. And by the time I finish, they're eager to finish with their treatment. Because I always tell them, I said, come and join me. Come and join me. And now you understand how I heard you out, how I explain things. I tell them, in your community, if anyone gets cancer, people will come to you and you will counsel them as I counseled you. And there'll be a ripple after ripple. And everyone will realize that, yes, cancer is curable. Cancer is conquerable. I never call myself a survivor. I say I am a cancer conqueror. So even that is a shift in thinking. It is positivity. So the second was fun and laughter. The third is God. Now, if you believe in God, then you have the fourth, which is faith. And if there is faith, then the fifth happens, miracles. My life is full of miracles. Today I am talking to all of you. 79 others. At least that's what I can read. So I am so thrilled. I am so happy that if even 1 or 2 or 10 or 20 of you can learn a little something, can go home, well, we're all sitting in our homes, can feel a little something, strength, something strong, something good, something, I would be so happy. And that happiness is what fills me up. When I see patients in front of my eyes from resisting, shattered, they hear me talk. And then they're eager to do their treatment. And then they do their treatment and they're out of it. They're rehabilitated. They've gone home. That joy, that happiness that I get, my God, my heart just expands. So that is what I want you people to understand. That if you do something for the joy of doing it, then that is what is most important. Nothing is important. What is success? Especially during the pandemic, the very idea of the word success, is it money? Is it this? Is it that? Little joys that make you feel so fulfilled, so satisfied. Now, even death, which is the sixth treasure, by the way, even death is a treasure. And don't we talk about the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahadev? We talk about the creator, the preserver, and we talk about the destroyer, Shiva, Mahadev. But when we talk about death, it's not that, okay, my body is left, the soul is left to that. It can also be the destroying of bad habits, bad karma. Take it as you will. Hindu philosophy is so fantastic. It lets your mind wander, and it gives you the best of freedom to choose the way you want to think. So that is what is required. Death is also a treasure. Why? Because it teaches you the next treasure, acceptance. And I always tell people, darlings, if something wrong happens to you, and a lot of it is going wrong nowadays, let's not put up a facade that all is well. Let's not pick up the carpet and sweep the kachra underneath. And no, because then the wounds fester. So the first thing we have to do is acceptance. Once we accept the situation we are in, let's say I've failed. Once I accept I've done badly, once I accept I've broken my bones, once I accept I've got cancer, once I accept. All right? After that, SDPA, study, diagnosis, plan of action. I can overcome it. So acceptance is very important. And when there is acceptance, abundance comes your way. When there is abundance, there is the attitude of gratitude. You know, it's like a circle. The more grateful I am, that God, I'm alive today. God, I'm talking to these lovely girls and boys. God, I got my meal today. God, any little thing. A patient that I was helping has got married, has had a child. Someone else was going through a bad time, they've recovered. Person who had COVID was under a ventilator, oxygen. There's so many of our family members that are going through terrible times. But there's such relief when they become okay. There's joy, there's happiness. And finally, my last treasure is living in the now. What does that mean? I'm living in this moment. I am enjoying talking to all of you. I am enjoying sharing myself. I am loving it. And I know a lot of people say that, you inspire so many. What inspires you? And I say, well, FSG. That is what we did in school. We used to, all our long questions and answers, we used to take certain alphabets and remember the alphabets. And they meant something. So we never bothered to learn everything by heart, but we learned the alphabets of the points. So M, so strange, my Google Meet thingy, the first thing is M. M is mother. And what did my mother teach me? She was, and is, by the way, March this year, she turned 91, and we were able to go to Bombay and celebrate her birthday. So she, unconditional love and nurturing. And there are a few points, just like my father said, do not fight it, face it. Not only for cancer, whatever happens in your life, don't fight it, face it. Do you understand?
Yes. Sorry to interrupt, but since we're running out of time, we prepared some questions for you, so if you take them.
I'm
Over to
always.
Harini.
Please tell me, Pooja.
Over to Harini, she'll be asking questions.
Okay.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi, Harini.
You're such a strong, motivative, inspiring person. You said such a great story. You battled with your life. You are like inspiration to us. You said all those words what we should hear now and all. Such a great story, ma'am. You just made me learn today that like if you can, why can't I? If you can, like why can't I battle with my life? Whatever situation comes.
I am so happy, Harini. See, now remember one thing, that these words are like nourishment for me. Do you understand? They're like nourishment. Because Harini, 23 years back, I've been counseling patients for 23 years back. And the doctors told me, they said, you have 25% chances of survival, but not in India. You need to go to France or to America, where they were trying something called stem cell research. And they said that only that stem cell research is going to save you. And I cried. Harini, what I'm going to tell you now, I cried for 3 days. Now, this is an important point. Suddenly on the third day, tube light, bulb. Did God come down and say your days are numbered? Did God come down and say you're going to die? No. I wiped my tears and I decided. Now, this is another important point I'm telling you. Always have a goal. I decided that I'm going to live for my twins, who were 7 when I was diagnosed. Now my twins are going to turn 31 in July. So have a goal that you work towards. That'll keep you going.
Yeah, and even I just saw your TEDx talks. Like you spoke twice. Such a great thing, inspiring things you told. And I, in the first TEDx speech, like it was titled as "Spreading the Gift of Life and Living." And like, what was your experience in talking in TEDx? Like almost 10 years back, almost 11 years back, and such with such a strong words implying to all of people in front of you who are going to inspire from you.
It was crazy. First of all, I talk a lot, as you can make out. So they said 20 minutes. And I said, are you kidding me? I can't finish in 20. They said, sorry, you have no choice. So I said, okay. And they have this big, digital thing showing you the time. But Harini, I was very happy because they let me talk for 22 minutes. And Harini, one more thing that happened recently. The Tamil Nadu government had, across a week, 10 days, they had many lectures. And once again, we were told just 20 minutes. And I said, you kidding? I can't talk just for 20. Sorry, ma'am, not possible, you have to. So my brother-in-law, my sister and brother-in-law, they said, oh, it's only 20 minutes, we'll wait for lunch for you. I said, okay. And when I started talking, Harini, at the 18th minute, I saw a line that said, this video has limitless time. And I kept talking and I spoke for 1 hour, 40 minutes. And when I went out, my sister and brother-in-law said, was that your 20 minutes? They'd, of course, finished lunch. But see, I want you to understand one thing, Harini, that when I speak, it's not, I'm so convinced that because I've put everything at the feet of God. He's talking through me. Do you understand? Because when I speak, I'm speaking different things to different people, as if they words are chosen to impact them the most. So I can just say gratitude to God.
Like believing in words well. Like this is so hard. I guess like I wish I spoke to you like person to person. I feel bad for that, really. And like
Don't,
believing in.
Harini, I want you to remember one thing, that every cloud, and take this seriously, every cloud has a silver lining. Every day has night, but every night has a day. And I know that these are difficult times for children, for the youth. because I'm feeling caught. I used to go for movies with my friends, go for drives from Chennai to Pondicherry, go to the beach, eat Magnum ice cream, do all kinds of crazy things. Take someone's scooter and go for a ride. None of you can do what you used to. You would be missing your friends. And there are lots of mental health issues coming up. But I want you to understand that anyone who's going through these traumatic times is not alone. There is consolation in numbers. And if the child or the teenagers or the youth, the adolescents, if they are upset and they get into their room and they bang the door shut, they're shutting out their family. And they will say, oh, you don't understand us. But your parents love you. But they don't know how to express their love. They're angry that they can't do anything. If you are feeling frustrated, look at the frustration that they are going through, that they can't do anything for someone they have given birth to and they love so much. I think we need many sessions. I would like to talk to you about every part
Yeah.
of anything that you want to.
Like, and also in your like second TEDx speech, like recently in 2020, you just in the bit of time, in a certain time in that speech, you just listed all the things that you suffered and battled with. At that moment, I was like, God, like how did she even like battle, ma'am? You're such an inspiration and all. I guess like we should make more sections with you
Ever
and
ready,
all, and just
I'm ever ready, Harini.
yeah, like and just one question, important question. Like now in our generation, we just feel bad for everything. We keep ourselves depression and all by seeing others. Like God, we both are same mates. They are successing. They're getting all those. Like I'm not getting. I feel sad for myself. We easily get depressed. What is your words to say as
Wonderful. I want you to know that there are moments when I also get depressed at this age. And I have figured out in my life that three things that I really utilize to get out of this. Now, what happens is that when you are hassled or worried, you're focusing your entire strength on that, whether it is negative or whatever. And it's very easy for someone to say, oh, say your prayers, say your job, God is there, parents are there, they will help you. Sometimes that doesn't work. So, you know what simple thing I've started doing? I've started doing the Sudoku. Now, you'll say, what is the advantage of the Sudoku? Come on. Harini, realize that when I'm doing the Sudoku, my mind is so focused on getting 9 different numbers in 9 different squares in one big square in each line. By the time I finished my Sudoku, the problem that I had, the depressive feelings that I had prior to the Sudoku, the turmoil that I was in, is gone. Why? Because I shifted my focus purposely to something so totally different that it helped me shift my perception and concentration and consciousness. So I'm not saying that everyone should start. You might prefer to do a jigsaw puzzle. You might prefer to do what is the other thing, where you put words in? Crossword. You might prefer to you might prefer to go for a run. You might prefer to jump to the water. To each their own. And I discovered Sudoku. The second thing I discovered is meditation. Now, when I talk about meditation, I don't mean sitting there and, being angry and I can't think, I shouldn't think, my mind should be empty. No. What is meditation? Now, I'm going to give you an example which you children will relate to. A teacher is teaching you a subject in engineering, and he's got his back and he's writing something on the board. And one latecomer comes in. Now, the teacher has two choices. One, he will put down the chalk and door. I will not let you in. One thing. Secondly, I am the teacher and I have been one, and I see the latecomer. I just turn to the latecomer. I smile. I nod. I acknowledge the latecomer and I carry on with my job. Now you see the two different reactions. One is impatient, angry, aggressive, and the other is sweet, patient, compassionate, understanding. Now, what are our thoughts when I say meditation? This is what I mean. Thoughts will come. There are many Rahuls and there are many Kajals or whatever who are latecomers. They will come. But how we react, my father always used to say, act, don't react. Act, don't react.
Yeah, that's all depend upon the way we set our mind and the way we react to the situation.
There you are, Harini, you've said it. So if I want to sit in meditation, the thoughts will come like Rahul. I can either say, no, I'm not supposed to think. I want my mind to be free. I want to meditate in peace. Will I be able to do it? No. If I say, okay, this thought has come, accept it, and let it pass. Do you understand the difference? Now, Paramahansa Ramakrishna always said that the mind is a monkey. You would have heard me say that before. The mind is a monkey. And not only is it a monkey, it is a mad monkey which has been bitten by a scorpion, and that also a mad scorpion. So that is what our mind is like. Give it half a chance and it'll jump from tree to tree. And so what do? We say, all right, mind, guess what? Why don't we try to meditate? And the mind says, well, all right, let me see. I don't know how I'll do it. Okay, but if you're not forcing me to, I'm ready. If you're forcing me to, I'm out of here. Got it?
Yeah.
I want to tell you one thing. In Hindi, there is a phrase, sun lijiye, dhyan mat dijiye, which my father used to say. Listen to it, don't pay attention to it. So my maids, they get very angry sometimes. So I told my maids, I have a little chatting session with them every day. So I told them, I said, this is what my father said. Sun lijiye, dhyan mat dijiye. So the other day something happened. My maid was very cool and calm and sweetly smiling. And I told her, I said, Nasima, I'm very impressed with you. What happened? Normally you flare up and, She said, no, I've been thinking. You said, listen, don't pay attention. And you said that if that is what you do, you will not be troubled. So I realized when I get angry and upset, no one is bothered except me. But ever since I'm paying attention to what you said, I find that I'm cool. So I take it in from one ear and take it out of the other.
And And the other thing is, in your book, like my favorite part is the way you explain the treasures, and the other one is like the way you like just kept your heart and hand on your heart and said like, "Hi heart, how are you?" and all. So just the sweet conversation between you and your heart.
Do you want me to read it? Do we have time for me to read it to you?
Actually, I'm sorry, ma'am. Like really sorry. I feel bad for this. We actually don't have time. And like
That is
really sorry.
not at all, sweetheart. I'm looking forward to many talks with you. I can keep talking.
But I promise you, I'll just share the screenshot to the people in our group that how sweet you wrote it.
How,
Such a
how
sweet.
In fact, I was prepared to read it for you, but we'll do it another time. Okay?
Yeah, like for sure.
Harini, I remember going through some of the questions, and you said, what are the three things you will tell a person at
Yeah.
diagnosis? I would like to answer that. So, the first thing I would say is think of the word cancer as only a word, nothing more, nothing less. If I talk about a cell phone or a cup or a remote or a book or anything, I don't get hassled. But the minute the word cancer comes, I start sweating profusely. Why? Because from generations, people have said, oh, cancer, it is terrible, the big C, you die of it, all kinds of things. That was understandable 50 years before, 100 years before, but not now. So I tell people, think of the word cancer as only a word, nothing more, nothing less. Don't burden it with the emotions that pull us down, because now, in times of advancement in science, in medicine, so much is happening. So, cancer is curable. So, think of the word cancer as only a word. Secondly, your treatment. Don't think of your treatment as the be all and end all of existence. Think of it as a short detour. When we're going to Kunur, don't we bypass Salem because there's too much of traffic? So instead of going straight, we all have goals, we all have plans. You will get to your plan or your goal with a short detour. So that is what you should think of your treatment, as a short detour. And the third point, laughter is the best medicine. So if you can laugh at yourself, laugh at life, laugh with each other, all is well. All is well.
Yeah, the best the best inspiration quote. Like just to take your hand, keep on your heart and just like all is well, everything is gonna be okay. Just smile and move on.
You know what my favorite quotes are? God is great. This too shall pass. And laughter is the best medicine. These are my three favorite mantras.
I like is there anything ma'am you would like to share with us on today's section? The most important thing that we should hear to know.
Yes, the most important thing is that sometimes we are very loving towards other people. But in these times, please remember not to be harsh on yourself. Like supposing I don't do something that I'm supposed to. I don't need to be angry at myself and pull myself down and berate myself. I need to be gentle. I need to be compassionate. And I need to be loving to myself. Because only if I love myself can I love everyone else. And there is so much security in self knowledge, in self love, and being secure in yourself. I think if that is one thing that we follow, it would make a big difference, especially when we're missing out our friends, we're missing out so many things. Let's make ourselves our own friends. And let's not be harsh. Let's be loving and compassionate to ourselves. Does that make sense to you?
Loving oneself is the most important thing.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your sweet words and all. I would like to give over to the Praveen to give you a vote of thanks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hadley. Thank
Hello,
you.
ma'am.
Hi, Praveen. How are you?
Yeah, I am fine. We have come to the end of today's session, ma'am. We are very grateful for your kind and passionate words that have ignited this fire of courage and determination in all of us to fight and never give up. On behalf of VIT LEO Club and all gathered here, I had like to thank you, ma'am, for taking time out of your busy schedule to enliven our minds and hearts. We look up to your willpower and optimism that has helped us to conquer our battles. Thank you for making this day so enlightening. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Praveen. And thank you, a special thanks to Varshi, who got in touch with me. And I'm so grateful for Facebook, Instagram, and all these things that can make us connect. Isn't that beautiful? And I've been so happy talking to you. I look forward to many sessions with the Leo Club of VIT. God bless each and every one of you. And please remember, I'm always there. Any one of you can get in touch with me for anything. Thank you so much.